Ian, firstly, thanks for giving us a bit of extra time today. We've had tabs on this interview for a wee while, just marking your 500th day with Raith Rovers, which is just kind of a week or so past, first chance we've had to get together. So, bit extra time today to look at your time with the club, but also to kind of scan back a wee bit about what makes a manager and what makes Ian Murray the manager. So, for me, the interview, naturally I thought would flow, speak about management and going to Raith Rovers, but my heart's got to rule my head and we've got to start with Raith Rovers, always. So thanks for your time, but let's start at the beginning. What was the draw in terms of coming to Raith Rovers? You're in a position where as a manager you're working with a club, Airdrie, working with people that you valued, people that you respected, and then Raith Rovers come a-calling. What was the draw?
It came very quickly after a playoff final defeat. We were bitterly disappointed at Airdrie on the day because we felt we deserved to be in the Championship, and we felt we worked incredibly hard and were pipped at the post. I mean, I wouldn't say unfairly, because that's the competition and that was the result of the two-legged game. You always want to go as high as you can in any walk of life or in any job, and have a little bit of ambition. I think it came at the right time, probably for everybody. The three of us, Airdrie, myself and Raith Rovers. Raith Rovers obviously had been through a very difficult period leading up to that sort of closed season. Airdrie were, as I said, we were really disappointed. Players, staff, hierarchy, football club, supporters. Myself as well, because that was our second one in a row. The first one was a wee bit different with the COVID, and we had a really late rally to get into the playoffs, never mind to get into the final. But we ran out of steam in the first year. We were running on empty. We had 3 games a week for about 4 weeks, and it was really one-sided. It was really unfair on us, and we struggled in the final, the second leg anyway. Which gave us a wee wetter appetite for the next year. We went on a fantastic run, 25, 26 games undefeated. We were pipped again by Cove Rangers, and full credit to them. They went 29 games undefeated, even when we played each other. There were draws. That's how tight it was. I felt Airdrie maybe needed refreshing in terms of players, in terms of staff, myself included. I probably needed a new challenge, refreshed. In saying that, I absolutely loved my time at Airdrie. It was fantastic. It was brilliant. It gave me an opportunity back in Scottish football. It gave me a hunger and desire, and it was kind of building a club. Because we new ownership, transition from part-time to hybrid to hopefully one day being full-time in its own right. And I looked at Raith and I seen couple of similarities in terms of it's been really tough few years. A fantastic achievement of winning League One in that COVID season, and then nearly getting in the playoffs the end of the season that I came in. The progression was there. You always look at where can you take a football club, where can you try and get to. We all know what happened in the January window as well, that hurt the club and hurt Kirkcaldy really, just the way it went. So I seen a lot of positive things that we could build on, improve on. I looked at the squad and I felt we had a decent squad that can go and compete, in the championship. I wouldn't say high-end championship, but certainly go and compete in it, and hopefully add to it and hopefully improve. So I think the biggest pull was I seen a lot of scope for improvement. I thought John and Paul had done a fantastic job over the years, and the number of times that they'd been here and they knew the club inside out. And like I said, maybe sometimes a club just needs refresh and a different approach, and it's always a part of the country as well that I'm pretty familiar with in terms of being come on holiday around these parts when I was a younger kid with my grandparents and all that, and a club with fantastic history. But progress was definitely a huge pull for me.
Has it lived up to your expectations?
Just about. Yeah, it has. It's I'm one of those people that takes a bit of time to really ingrain myself with people, and in a football club. Airdrie was the same. I have a huge affection for Airdrie, and I was there. Still look out for them and people there, and hope they do really well, not at the detriment to us obviously. And it's the same with Raith. The longer you're here, the more it grows in you, and you become part of it all, and you learn about the history of the club and the supporters, and the longer or the past, the further back you go and you look into it, and you always want to emulate it. Everybody knows about the fantastic Coca-Cola Cup win, and I remember it well myself, and you want to hopefully one day, I wouldn't say get there, but get Raith Rovers back on the map, if you like, and get us as close as we possibly can to those fantastic achievements. But yeah, it's certainly lived up to the expectations. I've enjoyed pretty much every minute of it. There's been huge challenges along the way. There'll be huge challenges going forward, but these are the things you're in football for and in management for, and you hope to test yourself and put your skill set and try and get the maximum out of people.
You mentioned about maybe Airdrie needing refreshing, and maybe looking at Raith Rovers and thinking, there's a project that I can take on. You strike me as a manager that likes that notion of coming in and making incremental change and incrementally moving forward in a kind of balanced and measured way. Would that be right in saying so?
Yeah, it is. I think it's something you learn as you go, and you learn with mistakes. And I think when I look back, my first management career, you're dying to do well. You think everything's got to happen yesterday, and it's win at all costs, and you must not have any bumps in the road. I think when you're pragmatic and you look at things properly, and to make good things happen takes time. Always alluded to, I know it's a bit daft, but in building a house, it doesn't pop up overnight. You must put foundations in, you must build it the right way, and you must make sure it's strong and secure so you can handle setbacks. But yeah, you want to build something. I think, again, I allude to Airdrie, that's what we try to do. That's what we're trying to do now. I enjoy that part of it very, very much, and I love the football side of it, but I also enjoy trying to make footballers, young players, and if they don't quite make it, then we've put them in good stead for the rest of their life and whatever future they go into. So it's not just about the football, it's we try to build good people, make sure they understand that every walk of life and every business is hard. Football is no different. This is a really, really tough business. You never take anything for granted when you walk through the doors here. It can be changed very, very quickly.
Are you happy with the line of travel? Because I was kind of thinking that it's 2 seasons, it's 500 days as we know, but 2 really different kind of climates in terms of expectation and resources from last season to this season.
In some ways, I think expectation's always there, Davey. I think football supporters demand quite a lot, which they're entitled to. I was supporting myself, demanded the same. So you've always put expectations, demands on yourself, and you get it from other people as well. I think if we're all balanced about it, though, it's always a good thing. I demand every day of players, so there's no reason why I shouldn't have demands placed on me. When we don't quite hit them, we're always disappointed, but you try and take the positives out of these things. But certainly, there is a contrast this season than there was last season. Again, it's just the way football works. It's just the way football clubs are run, and I feel very fortunate that I'm part of this first and foremost, because when you have new ownership and you have new people coming in, there's quite often changes that happen around clubs. But I'm delighted that they felt that I was the right guy to go and try and steer us in the right direction.
I know that with extra new investment there comes this kind of balance of opportunity and threat. But what's kind of struck me, and you may be touching it there with your answer, but straight from the first time we spent together this season, was that you're not a person that shrinks away from challenge, and you immediately grasp the fact that no, this is an opportunity. Does it still hold firm, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. It is. Every time you walk in here, it's an opportunity to better yourself and better other people, and practice things and try and improve yourself, and as I say, improve footballers and try and make them better understanding of football, and then you try to work on the quality. Everybody learns in different ways, and you have to keep evolving and try and keep balanced. If somebody can't quite grasp it, can we think of another way to help them? And you're playing a big game of problem solving pretty much every single day, and when you solve the problems and you get results, then it's brilliant. When you fall short, like I said, you have huge disappointments. But yeah, I love every minute of it. It is a fantastic opportunity. But I keep saying that, you only look back, and when you're a footballer, especially when I was younger, you heard it from the older, wiser guys that it's gone in the blink of an eye. Relish every minute you get, regardless of good times and bad times. And that's what I try to ingrain in the players, and that's what I try to tell myself when I'm a manager. There will be times that you're standing on that touchline, and it can be lonely. You don't know the decisions you've made are going to be correct or not, but you have to make decisions. As long as you can walk away and say to yourself that you made the correct decision regardless of the outcome, then it's okay.
The challenges never kind of shift really in terms of maintaining the squad, because I think maybe last week after the game we were talking about sometimes it's a feast and sometimes it's a famine. You've either got you're problem solving with not enough bodies, or you're having to keep a larger squad happy when there are only 11 jerseys. How do you keep harmony in the dressing room?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, especially when you've got as many good players as we have, especially in the forward areas. You know, strikers are notorious. They all want to play, and they all think they're the best and score loads of goals, if only. But that's part of the job. Yeah, I think as long as you're honest with people and you're fair with people, then that's fine. They might not agree with your decision, and they don't have to agree with your decision. That they have to accept it, and they have to make sure that they, you know, behave themselves and apply themselves in the correct way. Which I have to say to our boys, over the last 2 seasons, every single one of them has been exemplary in terms of their conduct. Certainly, you know, in the changing room, and you know, of course, when I'm out of the changing room, they're probably, you know, 2 fingers to me and behind my back, and that's fine. I get it, been there. As long as they know I'm making decisions that I feel that are correct for the team, not for individuals.
How would you like one of your players to describe you? There's obviously the balance of playing or not playing, but over the piece,
Yeah.
how do you think you'd be described?
I think probably fair, but you know, well, firm but fair, really. I'm close to the players. I try and get close to the players because it's really important you can understand them, not just in terms of the work stuff, but their leisure stuff and their family history. People all come from different backgrounds. Again, something I've had to learn because I was very much football all the time, forget anything else, and not maybe being good enough at realising what some people are going through or have been through, and what's their drive, what gets them going, what can you get, not, I wouldn't say get away with them, but you know, where are they coming from and how do they respond in disappointments and also good times. Again, I try and get close to the players in a more subtle way. You're not going to find me, you know, sitting in a pub or restaurant with them on a Saturday evening, but around the place, just be normal. Just let them know that you have flaws as well. You have moments where you're not sure. You don't have all the answers, but you'll try and help them.
It's probably something that supporters can relate to if they've got any kind of management responsibility, because it's that fine line of being professional but also being personable as well, and making sure that there is that open door there if needed. Is that where your assistant manager comes in as well?
Yeah, all staff. I try and no, none of us are better than each other. We all work together to have one common goal, and that is to fundamentally to win football games. But how you do that, there's many different ways of doing it, and there's many different, you know, systems that people use, management styles people use. It's one big effort, and I try to ingrain that in everybody at the football club. It's not just about the football players, it's not just about me, it's about the whole staff, it's about the people in the office, it's about you guys in the TV side, it's about social media side, it's about the board of directors, and you know, understanding when we're going through a tough time how we try and help each other out. And there'll be times that the club's going to go through a bad time, and hopefully the footballing side can help them out at that point. So many ways to do it. We all pull together. Assistant manager is obviously a really important and crucial role, but so's a physio, so's a goalkeeping coach, so's a fitness coach, so we try and keep a balance.
One of the new roles this season has been working with a director of football in John. It's been, you know, completely positive in every aspect of the relationship, from the kind of fun side to recruitment side to what we're seeing out in the park. There seems to be a real kind of harmony there, and obviously what we see in and around the doors of the stadium. How have yourself and John worked to make that so positive? Because again, that could be something that's a bit of a fly in the ointment, and what we've seen here is the polar opposite.
Yeah, I think it's always a delicate subject. I don't think, well, I say always, it's becoming less so these days. I mean, I was probably very fortunate. Again, I always think I've been very lucky in my career, you know, playing career in management. I've had very different scenarios everywhere I've been. In Norway, I worked with a director, well, the club worked with a director of football, pretty much every club in Norway, regardless of the level they're at, of a sporting director. It's just what they do, so it wasn't alien to me. I had one at Airdrie for a couple of seasons out the 3 and a bit that I was there. Found it a massive help to me, because there's a lot of stuff in management that some people like that I don't. I'm not really interested in finances, I'm not interested in contracts, stuff like that. The sort of jobs that are, I wouldn't say menial, but you know, I like to focus on other parts of the job, and John's came in and been a tremendous help, not just to myself but the rest of the staff, sorting out small problems that can become big, taken a lot of workload away from us that we had to do, and lets us focus on the main task in hand, which is the players and try to win games. So I knew John a little bit through other people. I knew John a little bit just by playing against him, and being in football, we're pretty normal in terms of, like in other walk of life, where we'll bump into each other or we'll know somebody who knows somebody. But his work has been fantastic for me, especially in the close season. When we're identifying targets and trying to sign them. John was working morning and night to get these ones over the line, and it's a difficult job. He's our kind of go-between as well with the board of directors. So it's been really positive. I've really enjoyed it. I think anybody that's maybe a little bit has trepidation of working with a sporting director has probably not worked with the right one. I've been very fortunate to work with two, Stuart Miller at Airdrie and John Potter at Raith Rovers.
So you get that foundation at the beginning of some kind of cohesion, but you clearly work hard at good communication and, as I say, the balance of fun right through to sharing the darker times. Yeah,
we have great fun. We're not going to shy away from it. We come in here every day bouncing and bubbling away, and like I alluded to a couple of weeks ago, and it's genuine. I'm going to bed at night dying to get in, or sometimes, sad as it is, counting down the hours till I can get up and come into Kirkcaldy. And that's a sign of a place that's happy. It's a sign of a good environment with good vibes around it. And again, that goes, everybody creates that. The players are coming in smiling. John's a smiley guy. He's a happy guy. He's an upbeat guy, and you need that in football, because there will be dark times, and there'll be times that we're all sitting in that office down in the dumps. But we need to remain positive, keep each other going.
A win on a Saturday doesn't change the world, but it really does mean the world to our supporters. How do you own and balance that responsibility?
It means the world to us as well. We're in exactly the same boat as the supporters. We work incredibly hard every single week for that 90 minutes plus on a Saturday. All our work is getting magnified into that period of time. All the players' work's getting magnified into that period of time. It's not always going to be your day. It's not always going to come off for you for whatever reason. But yeah, I think you do carry that burden at times. You even driving in this morning, for example, the weather's pretty poor. It's coming at a tough time of year for people. It's getting colder. Christmas is coming. People are financially stretched at the moment. You just want to bring them some happiness, and if that comes from football, brilliant. It's a lot of people's release, and we have to realise that it's not everybody's be all and end all, but to some people it is.
I've spoke to a lot of players over the many years of doing this, and quite often an answer when we speak about the wider football world is they never really got a chance to follow a club because their own careers are so Saturday and midweek heavy. But you're an active supporter of your boyhood club. Does that give you a wee extra 10% in terms of understanding of what it means to the main stand, south stand?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I always say I was a Hibs supporter. Season ticket. My dad, my brother, my dad's side of the family were all Hibs supporters, and we went to a lot of games. And again, I've just been lucky. I was a ball boy at Hibs. Then I was in the terracing, and then I was in the changing room, and I had a fairly seamless sort of transition in all three, which is a wee bit unusual. I think you get away from it a little bit, certainly when you become a manager. Certainly I have, if I'm being brutal. I don't really know what's happening down at Easter Road at the moment, because I'm fully focused on Raith Rovers. I don't really have much interest anywhere else. It's my eldest, as you know, will keep you up to date and tells me everything that's going on. But I mean, I could rattle off the Scottish Championship to you, no problem. But ask me anything else, I'm struggling.
I won't test you on that because I believe that you'd easily be able to do so. What have been the high points of your time thus far? As I say, we're looking at 500 days, but we're equally looking forward to the next 500. What have been the standout high points on and off the park?
There's been a lot. There's been a lot of high points. I don't really dwell too much on disappointment. So obviously there has been. Getting to the cup final was great. We lost it, but you only lose big games by winning other big games, and we were all bitterly disappointed. But it gives you more fuel, gives you more fire, gives you more hunger and desire to go and try and do better. And try and this year, for example, we're still in it. We've got an opportunity. We want to try and win the cup. I was exceptionally proud to take us to Ibrox because it was a big occasion for us. I wouldn't have said it was a huge game because it's Ibrox and it's Rangers, but the occasion was big for us. We got there by beating a Premier League side and also going to Linlithgow in a very, very tough game. And a lot of people have seen that as a banana skin, but sometimes it's nice to prove people wrong and show the quality that you know you have in the dressing room, and it shines through. So there's been a lot. It's still coming. I was really, really happy when you see something you've been practicing or been pointing out to players and they're pulling it off. Ayr United example on after we lost to Airdrie a couple of weeks ago, we were all a wee bit disappointed with the performance, and I'm scratching our head a little bit on not where we went from there, but how do we fix the problem. And you make decisions, like I say, you go with a smaller, in terms of physicality up front, but two really, really sharp strikers, practice all week on counter-attack football, and then you score 2 goals in the counter-attack. So these things give you as much pleasure short term as a lot of the big ones.
Talk to me about the connection between supporters, the town, the team, and kind of all aspects of how things have kind of blossomed. Have you actually seen a kind of tangible difference across the 500 days of that strengthening?
Oh, huge difference, particularly this season. I think you look at how many young faces we have in the crowd here at Starks Park on a Saturday afternoon now. I'm not sure of how many folds it's gone up, but it's certainly gone up a lot. The excitement, not just of young people, but of middle-aged, older people that have seen it all at Raith Rovers, and you're still giving them that little bit of hope, that little bit of excitement. So yeah, a huge strengthening relationships between the football club and the supporters, the players and the supporters. Again, everybody knows it was strained at one point not too long ago, so to build something back is really, really difficult. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to do a lot of things, and full credit to the new board of directors who've came in, and we always want to have everything perfect. It's not going to work like that, but we're certainly doing our best to try and make sure that Raith Rovers are looking after each other, looking after their own, and putting ourselves back in a competitive place.
You're a 45th manager across 140 years history, so you sit on pretty big, alongside pretty big names, personalities. How do we look at the stats this morning across all fixtures, your friendlies, cup games and so forth? 45.07% win rate. How would you sum up your time so far? Write your own report card.
I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy in different aspects. I'm slightly different. You always want to win the games, and you're happy with 45 is not bad. Pretty happy with that. But I look at the way we're playing. I look at the players we've brought in, and really proud of the fact that, there's no disrespect to these players, but we brought in Dylan Easton effectively from League One, Scott Brown from Peterhead League One, Scott McGill from Hearts B team as well. We're giving Dylan Corr an opportunity. Adam Masson's gaining minutes. We've signed a young local player, Callum Hanna. So all these things come into my thought process that are progress, for the football club, and you're looking down other leagues, and you're seeing players out there. And of course I worked with Callum and Dylan already, and I knew how good they were, but it's one thing working with them and liking them. It's another thing for them to go and do the business on the pitch in a league or a division higher, and they both done it fantastically well, which gives you justification and validation in terms of what you fought, and also in terms of signing them.
Well, brilliant manager's answer. Ask you a question about you and you tell me about your players. That's why you're sitting there. There's always another 100 questions about Raith Rovers, but we've got another 100 interviews and many sessions sitting across each other to chat about them. So let's have a wee look at your life as a manager. I'm going to start by misquoting a former president who says there are only a few things in life that are certain: life, death, taxes, and managers constantly being under pressure. Why on earth would you be a football manager?
Again, you thrive off it. Football, is all I've known since I left school. Literally at school one day and down at Easter Road the next day. That's exactly what happened to me, and that was me ever since. So it's all I have. It's always been my thing. It's always been my passion since I was a young kid, and constantly. When I was young, I was playing football, I was watching football, and it wasn't quite like now. We had no internet, and we couldn't access what we what the young ones can do now. They know absolutely everything about it, in the computer games and all this stuff. We were out kicking the ball, and tried to one day, hoping we were going to be a footballer. Fortunately for myself, that's what I wanted to do, and I managed to do it. But yeah, it's different. It takes time to understand it. I think you know, I was as guilty as any young manager when I went to Dumbarton, which again I was very fortunate to be offered that opportunity. But 100 miles an hour, completely mad, on hell bent on being the best instantly. And you know, you look back and how you spoke to referees and linesmen and officials and people, it probably wasn't the best, but we've all done it. I see young managers now doing it, and instantly just have a little smile on my face thinking, yeah, we've all done it. You'll look back in 10, 15, 20 years and say it wasn't the right way to do it. So I think that's a huge thing, and I think the quicker you get that as a young manager, the better. And that's something I've had to learn to do.
How early did you have your eye in the role? Was it something you knew from early on in your career, or was it circumstances, injury and so forth that meant if you're going to stay in the game, this was the route?
A bit of both, definitely a bit of both. I always thought I'd get an opportunity. Again, I was fortunate to go into the Championship, which is unusual. Didn't think I'd get that opportunity. I thought I'd have to go down a bit lower than that and learn a little bit, and didn't think I'd be 31 when I'd done it. You know, that was probably forced a little bit, or a big bit with injury. I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't looked into it greatly because I still wanted to keep playing. But you learn, you literally learn on your feet, and you have to go and do the job. And I was lucky enough to be at Dumbarton, and you know, probably the lowest budget in the league and a wee bit under the radar. Quite glad it wasn't close to where I'm from in Edinburgh. I can, you know, go away and do my work, and made loads and loads of mistakes that were not really noticed. Certainly, you know, you're not in a high pressure job. The only pressure comes from within and your club. But I look at a lot of these young managers now, you know, they're getting thrown into really big jobs, and I'm not saying it's a wrong move, because you've got some really good managers and coaches at a young age, but it's a lot of pressure on them. So I was very fortunate that I managed to get away with a little one.
Who did you turn to for advice, either as you were considering moving into management, or as you got that first job at Dumbarton? Have you got is your phone open with lots of different people's tabs and names there, or is there certain people that you return to?
It's more people out with football. You know, I've got a couple of really close friends that have been around the block in their business and management, and done really well, and they give you really good advice. That you're always going to, you know, I've worked with some or under some really good managers and good staff and good people as well, and you'll always, you know, bend the ear a little bit and ask them, you know, for advice. But you also have to try and learn a lot of stuff on your own as well. But there's certainly things I think subconsciously as a footballer you take from every manager, be that good, bad or indifferent. There's certain things you're totally against, there's other things that you're totally for. I think the biggest thing that you learn is you have to move with the times. You really have to evolve in terms of, it's changed even so much in the last 10, 12 years since I've been a manager, in terms of technology, and stats are getting produced everywhere, and you have to learn them. If you don't want to learn them, you'll get away with it a little bit for so long, but eventually it'll catch you, it'll bite you. So you must keep moving. You must try and employ people that you think are going to enhance you as well, and challenge you, make you better, question you at times, and you know, decision making or ideas, and you know, try and it's not so much you bringing them along with you, so you're trying to, you know, hold on to them a little bit, and that's how you get better.
What about the managers that you've worked under as a player? Are there parts of your outlook, your style, your characteristics that you can attribute to them? What are the lessons that you've picked up?
Yeah, like I said, I've worked under a lot of good managers. You know, I was not many, if any, that I really thought, you know, were poor. I thought I've been very lucky again. Alec McLeish, I know, a huge debt to Alex, because he signed me for Hibs, he signed me for Rangers. I had him for a number of years, and he was really demanding as a manager in a really good way. You know, he gave him everything. You know, his presence when he walked in the room was huge. Walter Smith, exactly the same. I think they were very fair. I said earlier, firm but fair. And, you know, if they weren't happy with you, they'd let you know. But if you gave them everything, they'd repay you as well. You know, I've had diverse, you know, people. Paul Le Guen come from France, who I thought was excellent, was really good, taught me new things as well. Didn't work out for him at Rangers, but doesn't mean to say he's a bad manager or a bad person. He was just doing it his way. And again, you try to take little tidbits from everybody. Peter Grant down south as well, down at Norwich. You know, such a gentleman, conduct. when he was going through a hard time was fantastic. Always try to help you. So you just try to take little bits here, there, and everywhere. You always look back to your periods of your career where you're playing your best football, and see why you were playing your best football. And generally, it's normally about being comfortable on the pitch. It's about being comfortable in your role, knowing your role, not leaving any stone unturned in terms of what you've been asked to do or how you do it.
Former Rovers managers said something to me a lot of years ago that I remember. It was a kind of 2-point thing. Firstly, he said is I learned from a certain manager how not to treat people, but he followed it up by saying also learned to look at other managers and say that's really good, but it's not me. How important is it to be your own man?
Absolutely agree. Totally. I'm the same. I've learned from one manager how not to treat people, and how it made everybody feel. I still look at some managers now and think that's not how I would do it. Not to say it's wrong in any way whatsoever, because that's them and it's their personality. How you conduct yourself on the touchline, how you conduct yourself around the club, how you conduct yourself in front of you, not just your players but opposition players, because footballers aren't as daft as people like to believe. They've got their eye on absolutely everything, and they notice absolutely everything. They know when you're not telling the truth. They know when you're not prepared properly. They know when you've not quite got to the standards that you're telling them to get to, and they'll let you know about it eventually, and rightly so. So you're always looking over your shoulder. You're always making sure everything's as good as it can be, because if you're putting demands on people, you have to make sure your standards are there.
Of course, I've seen you post-match many times. We've seen stark dejection. We've seen absolute elation at the other end of the kind of scale. Let me ask you, how do you decompress? How do you maintain a personal balance?
Again, something you learn. You've got that many people around about you that it's affected by this job in particular, that Saturday nights can be there or there. It just depends on your mood, and when you're younger you expect everybody to adapt around you and they must comply to how you're feeling, and it's the end of the world if you don't win a game, and when you win it's everybody must go out and party with you because you've won the game. You've got to find that balance because it's not fair on other people, and also again you realise it can change very, very quickly. Try not to get too down in the dumps, try not to get too high. I mean when you lose a game you go home and analyse it. I try not to do that until the Sunday evening, Monday morning, just because you need time and you need to reflect a little bit, calm down a little bit. Either way, either get yourself back up or bring yourself back down. I spend a lot of time relaxing, a lot of documentary watching, the things I find interesting. Try not to bombard myself or watch other games with a manager's hat on. I just like to sit down and maybe watch it as a guy in the pub and just enjoy the game, not have to think about why they're doing this or why they're not doing that. Of course it creeps in sometimes and you're interested in it, but in general I just try to relax.
You've spoke to me before about the importance of maintaining an eye on the well-being, physical and emotional of your players, your staff and the people around about you. Are you conscious to make sure you've got time for your own self-care?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm pretty good at that. As people will tell you, I'm always I use the gym a lot. That's probably the place I go to. I say gym, but it's Liverpool. The place I go to focus mentally. Every morning I try and go there before I come in here just to get myself ready, for the working day. It's, after games, Sundays as well, just relax. It's very important that you take a break sometimes, and I think again when you're younger you don't think you deserve a break, or you maybe don't feel that you can have a break, but you can because you need it as much as anybody else, and you must do it because it resets you. It's a bit like a defeat. Sometimes a defeat is needed. A defeat is as sore as it is for that moment. It's actually a good thing in the long run because you can reset your mind, reset your body, reset the whole playing squad and get everybody refocused.
Does that, or can that perspective only really develop through time? Because you've said, we've sat in this very room where you've said the blindingly obvious to me after games, where you've said sometimes we're going to lose games of football. It's only experience and time that can give you that sense of balance.
Yeah, it is, and it's not always what people want to hear as well, but you can't always give people what they want to hear just because that's what they want to hear. You have to be realistic and you have to be truthful. And you look at the best teams in the world, and you will look at Man City at the moment. I think they've lost 2 or 3 games in a row, and it was one that an interview I very rarely watch it, but seen it, and the manager saying we've lost 2 games. It's going to happen, because if it can happen to these sort of guys and happen to these teams, it's going to happen to us, because everybody is trying to outfox everybody else. Sometimes it comes down to moments in the game. It can be, as I say, 90+ minute game can come down to a couple of seconds, wrong decision making, pressure getting to people. But we are going to lose football games. There's not many there's none in the world that have never lost a game of football, and we're no different. We try to win every single game we go and play, but it's difficult.
When a manager joins a club, probably the mandatory but least imaginative question that people like me and the people who do it for a living ask is, we speak about philosophy. I always quote, I think the best answer I've had from a Raith Rovers manager is, it's my philosophy to try and win football games. It's as simple as that. Talk to me about what the fans call Murray ball.
Yeah.
What does it look for? What's the philosophy? Have you got a mantra? Have you got, is there a quote on the wall in your kitchen that defines what Murray ball is?
Not really. Again, it changes. It depends on what you've got to work with in terms of your squad. I remember, my style's changed everywhere I've been, because you have to try and find the best that suits your players, what suits the individuals and what suits the team. I think at Dumbarton we're a bit of a long ball team, to be honest, because we're competing in an incredibly tough league at part-time level against really good players. We had a stadium that had one stand. We had to make it as horrible as we possibly could for other teams. We made the pitch as small as we could because we wanted to make it tight and as intimidating as we could, and often our fans were outnumbered by the away fans, so we had to do everything that we could in our power to try and keep that football club in the division, and we managed to do it. I think going over to Norway as assistant and working with Kevin taught me so much, because Kevin, first and foremost, is an incredible coach and manager. He really is. So underrated, it's unbelievable. He was obsessed with good football. He didn't want to win games playing bad football, and he was very successful at it and very good at it. And it let me sit back for a couple of years and watch somebody work at it, plan his whole training schedule around playing good football and winning games. He knew, like myself, that we weren't going to win every game because of the way we played, but he stuck to his principles and stuck to his ethos. Everybody has their own way. I think we look at a stat that I saw this, I sent to the players yesterday. We had a wee meeting that we're the highest pressing team in the league, Dundee United are the lowest. We were top 2, so there's more than one way to skin a cat. It doesn't, you have to adapt to what you have. I don't particularly like sitting behind the ball, waiting for the opposition to give us it. I'd rather go and get it. I get more satisfaction out of that than the other way around. But I also understand at times that we'll have to do that, and there has been periods, not just one game, but periods, 6-7 months at times where I've had teams that I've had to do that. But I love to see really fast counter-attack football, counter-attack goals, but I also love to see that killer pass when other teams camped in the last 30 metres, 30 yards, and you're looking for that little ball through. And that's why we sign players like we have. Dylan Easton, Aidan Conley can do it, Vonnie can do it, Sam Stanton, brilliant at it. So we've got a really good balance. But I like fast pace, I like high tempo, I like high intensity, but I like our teams to be humble, but with that little bit of steeliness about them.
Has there been one game where it's all clicked? What's the game you'd watch again, or is that game yet to come? Or does it ever arrive?
No, I think there is games where it's as good as it's going to get in terms of what you'd be looking for in that game. The Motherwell game out here, for example, was great. You kind of got everything in that game. We knew there was an opportunity for us. We knew they were under a bit of pressure. We go 2-0 up, and then they score. But again, sometimes within the game that just reminds players, this is tough. This is a really, really hard game. We managed to see out that 10-15 minute spell where Motherwell put us under a little bit of pressure. So we had the really good football, then we had the side where we've got to really dig in here, guys, and then we score the goal and we can enjoy the last sort of 3, 4, 5 minutes of the game. So in that game, we got as probably went as well as we could have hoped. We're playing against a top league team, but there's been other games that some of the goals that we've scored this season have been fantastic, and a lot of people emphasise the game on passing and, 20, 30, 40 passes in the build-up to the goal. That's great, and, we all like to see it, but there's nothing wrong with 3 or 4 passes and just going bang, 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 then the ball's in the back of the net. It gives me as much satisfaction.
I'm looking at my questions, and I'm probably going to eke a wee bit more of an answer out of you here, setting you a wee bit of a problem to solve. I guess I've written here round pegs and square holes. It's what managers, all levels, but particularly when you're working with tight budgets and resources, have to look at. Let me ask you, what's your starting point mentally when the physio's saying X and X are not available? Is the starting point, how do we hurt the opposition, or is it, how do we make sure we don't concede goals? What's your first thought?
It's how we hurt the opposition. I think there's no more better example than when we played Ayr United. I know a lot of eyebrows were going to be raised when I played Scott Brown at centre half. I had to weigh up, Adam Masson as well, because Adam had done fantastically well. Again, that's when you ask for the input of other people, particularly the players. We just felt against Ayr we were a bit long, we were a bit isolated in the front areas. We couldn't quite get the distances right, and my gut feeling was let's go and be really attacking. And the reason I played Scott Brown is, in that game at centre half, is because he can pass the ball. It's as simple as that, and he can link up the defence to the midfield, and then the midfielders can go and supply the forward players. And I know he's capable of doing a job in the defensive area because he's a box-to-box midfielder. All we're asking Scott to do in that situation is play a position about 10, 15, 20 yards back from where he normally plays and do what you normally do. Of course, there's going to be more 1v1 battles, 2v2s, and a little bit more, running backwards toward his own goal and stuff like that. But I always look, as much as it was a centre half, I think it kind of tells you where I am in terms of the way we're trying to play. Is we're trying to attack them from everywhere. Be that, it doesn't always have to be scoring goals. It's how do we start our attacks? How do we get that ball moving that little bit quicker? Because 1 or 2 seconds in football, is absolutely huge. So we want all our players to be comfortable to take the ball. There'll be times where there's absolutely nothing wrong with that ball going 40, 50 yards forward or out the park, and certain circumstances dictating on your game plan, be that 90 minutes, 5 minutes, half an hour. But yeah, we want all our players to be able to hurt the opposition, be that with the ball or without.
A manager that I've got huge respect for told me that a wry smile on his face, if it's going well, it's the player's hard work. If it's not working out, it's my fault. Is that the reality of being in the hot seat?
Yeah, well, it is. That is a reality, Davey. It's I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that's what everybody thinks, but the general consensus, yeah. Look, when clubs and teams are going through a really tough patch, it's not often that the players leave. It's very often that the manager leaves. And again, I've tremendous sympathy with any manager that's under pressure. I don't take any enjoyment out of it whatsoever. The recent one, obviously in our league, was Billy after he played here, and really sad to see Billy leaving Inverness because I felt he'd done a really good job over the years. But it's a short-term game in a lot of places, and again, it goes back to in terms of who you're working with. You need help. It's not a one-man band. There is a point for everybody where it's results are really poor and things aren't great, where there maybe has to be a change. But there's a lot at the moment, especially down south, where the money's just dictating and taking over. Where it's a kind of fire them quickly kind of attitude, and it's not right, to be brutally honest, because we're all trying our best. But I try and give the players as much credit as I possibly can, be that in winning games or losing games, because you can lose games sometimes by playing really, really well. You can lose games by following the game plan perfectly, but something outside of your control, or the opposition come up with a moment of genius, the referee makes a poor decision, anything like that. But in general, we carry the can, we take the stick, but we get on with it.
Let's finish up by putting you in the spot. Tell me about the pride that you have in leading our club forward. Oh,
immense pride. Again, I feel fortunate to be sitting here, today, yesterday, tomorrow. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. You really don't know what's going to happen, so you have to enjoy every minute of it. You have to enjoy every minute of it by doing your best for people, doing your best for yourself, for your family as well, helping players through really tough times, enjoy the good times. Although I'm probably the worst at it, because I'm always thinking about what's going to happen next and what we're going to do next, how we're going to get better. But you must enjoy working. I'm loving every minute of this. I really am. It's been difficult at times. We've had some really tough situations last season with our numbers, and going to really tough venues. Somerset I think we had 12 fit players, and we had up at Dundee with 2 on the bench and all this stuff. But I'm loving it, Davey. As I said, I've been trusted to try and do the best for this football club. I'll keep doing it until I'm told not to. I still think we've got loads of improvement to come, but overall delighted to be here. Really, really happy with our progress since the summer. We just keep going.
Well, looking forward to the next 500 days. I'll let you get away, and thank you for your time, Ian. It really is enjoyable for us lads working with you as well, and most importantly watching that team that you're putting out in the park.
Thank you. Cheers, David.